People were losing their mind. She was wailing on a level I've not experienced before. It was just like...
Was it a baby or a person?
No, she was like 8 years old or so.
8?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Like, I don't know how old children are. Like 6. She could have been 14. I have no idea.
Gosh.
But like, seriously, she was 6 to 20. I have no idea. I can't tell the age. I can't tell. But it was inhumane. And like, even the mother was just like, I'm
pick
so
up
sorry.
the baby!
Rock the baby!
Pick up
the teenager!
Rhodes Stories. Rhodes Stories.
All right, my guest today is one of my favorite comedians. Every time I see her, she just destroys. She's won so many awards, I can't even keep track. Her album, Lady Jazz, was nominated for a Juno Award. She has 2 specials, one coming up and one on Amazon. And she's done a ton of things. Please welcome Debra DiGiovanni. Yay.
Hello, Erica. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you.
This is how we get together. We have to do a podcast.
I know we have to do it. That's the only way to have
That's
a
it.
social life. That's why I was like, I better start a podcast.
I know. I'm never going to see anyone.
I'm never going to have friends.
This is what you got to do.
This
is how
the
we do it.
only
This is our
way.
lunch.
Yeah.
This is our coffee. I got water. You
That's
got
so
coffee.
true.
We're halfway there.
What? By the way, what's your new album or new special?
New album.
What is
it's
your
called Honorable Intentions.
Honorable Intentions. I love that title.
Spelled the Canadian way with a U.
Ooh.
In honor, everybody.
I like that spelling.
I
loved
do I.
your I know it's a little bit old, but that special that's on Amazon is so
I know that's
funny.
I thank you very much. I like that one too.
It's
I always
so
think
good.
of Kyle Kinane's. I think Kyle Kinane's second album or second special was called "I Like His Old Stuff Better," and that just I always am like, yeah, that nails it. You know what I
That's
mean?
hard when you look back and you're like, whoa, I was writing jokes back then.
Think about it though. Think about it though. Like, what do you do your first special? 10 years, 12 years, 14 years in. You've
Right.
had 14 years to do. And the next
Yeah.
one, they're like, can you do that same thing but in 2 years? You're like, no.
Yeah.
You know what I
No.
mean? So that's why the first one's always.
And you have your whole life as material,
Yes.
and then you're like, I used it up. Now I have to do observational.
Now I have to live.
Yeah, now I have to live, but I'm on the road.
I know. Exactly.
So speaking of the road,
Yes.
since this is Rhodes Stories.
Love it, love it.
How long have you been doing the road?
Oh my God. A long
time.
A long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in I grew up in Canada in comedy, in life, but also for comedy.
Yeah, yeah.
So but like we did things, it was a little different because there weren't a ton of clubs in Canada.
Right.
So it was like we had more like we called them, we called them corporate shows. What was a one night show.
Right.
And it was usually out of town, do you know what I mean? Maybe 3 hours out of town, maybe 6 hours out of town, whatever. So that was sort of like the sort of our bread and butter there, you know what I mean? Because honestly, as an independent comedian in Canada when I was coming up, there was honestly only 6 clubs across the entire country. So you had to kind of fill it in with one night.
Did you have a home club that you?
I did, yeah. I had, which was, it's been gone for a really long time.
What is?
What was it called? The Laugh Resort, I want to say. And then
wow.
it turned into, there's another club because the Yuck Yucks was the big one in Canada.
Right.
Yeah, and then there's another one called Absolute Comedy as well.
Okay.
But now the place that you want to go in Toronto for sure is Comedy Bar because that was started by a
Okay.
sketch troupe. And yeah, now they have 2 locations.
I've
It's
almost
dynamite.
been there, but I haven't been there yet.
I
I've
drove
almost
past it
booked
once.
it.
Yeah. But they're smaller ones, but they're great clubs. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And so then how long were you doing comedy before you went on the road? Like just
You know what? I was very fortunate. I think I probably, I haven't had a day job.
Yeah.
Wow. Since 2008.
Wow.
You know those, you have
Yeah,
the
I
moments.
haven't. I couldn't keep a day job.
Oh,
So
I know.
did you ever have one?
Oh yeah.
What
I
was
mean,
it?
I was always a receptionist.
Oh.
Hello, good afternoon. That
Did you speak like that?
Oh yes, hello. Zig Incorporated. That was it.
Oh
yeah.
my God,
Oh
I
yeah.
can't
I answered
see
the
you
phone. I
doing
got
that
the coffee.
in a
Oh, yeah.
serious way.
But you get to a point. You get to a point when you're doing comedy at night, and then you come in. I had to be there at 8:00 in the morning, and people would be like, "You look tired." I was like, "Yeah, I know.
I am
I'm
tired."
so tired." Yeah. So, but I was able to quit my day job after. So I started comedy in 2000, and I was like by 2008 I was done.
Wow.
Actually, I think I quit the middle of 2007. I went on the road with Russell Peters.
Really?
Yeah, Russell brought me on
How
tour
was
with
he to
him.
work with?
That was, well, this was the hard one to start with because Russell is.
So you were treated
he
like
is royalty.
a queen.
Right, I was like,
and
is this how it's always going to be?
Oh, no.
Am I going to always
that's
be?
not good.
I mean, he paid more than I deserved at that time. Like, I mean, we deserve what we, come on. Like,
Of course you deserved
but
it.
It was just like so generous and so fun. Like,
How long did you tour with him?
He did a very civilized, like he would go weekends, but we'd have the weeks off. So it was like kind of meet every Thursday and get home every Monday. So like doing clubs, but we went across Canada and I think we did like 27 shows or something.
Wow.
And that was it. Like the minute I did that, I was like, oh, okay. So I can quit my day job now.
And then did you start headlining?
And that was, then after that, it was.
And then it was a little rough in the beginning?
Yeah, and then, well, I mean,
No.
but then it was a little bit.
I mean,
comparatively, yeah. But it was, so I'd say I was probably doing the road by about 2006, 2007, and then like headlining clubs around 2008 is when that really started, like kind of permanently.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So long time.
Like long enough that I'm tired of it now. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
And has it changed like drastically, do you think?
Has it changed drastically?
For you?
I think, probably a little. Only because that now, it's so funny because, 25 years I've been doing comedy now,
That's crazy.
Ooh, wow. And
well,
it's getting harder to be booked now than it
What?
was. It's harder to be booked now.
so many comedians.
Because there's so many, TikTokers and people that come in and can sell the room out 3 times, in a night. And I'm just like,
crazy.
Sorry, I can't do that.
And you're so funny, so it's like that should be the main thing, and somehow
somehow we reversed things a little bit here. But,
I feel like it might even itself out at some point.
I think eventually. I feel like all the folks that they didn't start in comedy, they started online. I think there is a ton of them that are dynamite comics and make it happen. I mean, we know all, like Trevor Wallace is a really good example of that.
Yeah.
But I think that, the ones that aren't, I think people go and see them once and then never again.
That's the
thing.
think.
You don't have them back.
It's more like a meet and greet.
I think, to be honest, I think it is.
Yes.
I think it's just like, hi, I'll do my stuff that I do on TikTok, and then we'll just take pictures and say hello to each other.
Exactly. They're like, I met the person that lives in my phone.
Yeah. I saw them in real life, IRL. Yes. But I mean, if you can make that happen, God bless you.
Yeah,
go for it. You know
I
what I mean?
agree.
Yeah.
So okay, so you said you had some Rhodes stories.
Oh please.
Okay.
I
you wrote them down. Wow, you're so prepared.
I have a list. Let's see. Okay. So at the beginning, beginning of the touring, I often, like I was saying about the one-nighters, I often was the host. I was always a very good host.
Oh, that's hard.
It is. It's hardest. It's the hardest.
I should have hosted more, but I didn't really pay my dues.
Because no one wants to host.
It's
That's
so
the
hard.
problem. Because it is hard. You're going in cold and you don't know what's going to happen. But I got booked. There was like a couple of booking companies that were just like, you do a good job of this. We're just going to use you all the time. I was like, fantastic. So I got booked a lot. But I was booked often with old men.
Of course.
Okay. Of course. I mean, that's right. Isn't that just the way it is?
Yeah.
So you find that, especially, again, I started comedy in 2000. So
it was all old men.
Yes, it was all old men. It was. It was men that were, been doing comedy for 20 years and were angry. And I can't even imagine how angry they are now. I mean,
know.
Yikes. So they're mad. Yeah. and so a lot of that
you're
wasn't
all young
and like,
have
yay,
your
I'm happy to be here and I'm full of yay.
Yeah.
And it would go well and stuff. And at that point, too, I was already on a show in Canada.
What was the show?
So there was a show in Canada. It was on our music network. And it was called Video on Trial. And it was like a Talking Heads. Like it was like literally ripped off of VH1, but just Canadian version. Where comedians and whoever personalities just made fun of music videos. And it started in 2006. But it got really popular by about 2009.
Oh, wow.
So I would be going and doing these events and, still be the host, but then like
they
a bunch
came
of...
to see you.
Yeah. And then
that would make the headliner upset.
Very upset.
Yes.
So there was a lot of that. There was a lot of sort of very bad treatment. Like there's just, men getting so mad. I like literally remember like being 3 hours out of town and like getting to, getting home, driving me home. And like, you would carpool. Everyone did.
Right.
That was fine. That's a normal thing.
Yes.
And then you'd always give some money for gas and whatever. That was like normal. I'm not being weird by doing that.
Right.
And I remember just this one comic. Let's call him Scott.
What was his real name?
Scott.
Was it Scott? Let's call him Scott because his name
is Scott.
Is he still doing comedy?
I hope not. I hope, God bless him, he's far, far away or buried somewhere, to be honest. He was so terrible to me. He would get we would get to the edge of Toronto, right? So we get to just the edge of the city. So I'm still probably about 35 minutes from home.
Yeah.
And it would be 1:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, when all the transportation is, and he would just go, get out. This is as far as I can drive you. And I'd be like, dude, you have to get me. There are no subways. There's no street. Come on, man. You got to get. And he would over and over and over again. And
he didn't bring you home?
No. And it sounds made up, but I promise you, my children, it is not made up. Pouring rain, get out. And I'd be like, please.
Was it always in the same spot or just random?
Random. Wherever it would be. And I'd be like, look, your house is up there. Sometimes I would be a 15-minute walk to the subway. And I'd be like, just get me to the subway. Can you get... So that happened
Was this
often.
before Uber too?
Yeah,
so you couldn't be
way before Uber. And I'm sorry. This is really sort of before we didn't have iPhones then. Do you know what I mean? It's
so you'd just be stranded?
Oh, yeah. You would just be stranded somewhere.
You call you didn't have a phone. How did you get home?
You would. I would walk, until you got to literally a payphone. These sound like savage times, but they were.
Yeah.
It was 2007. It was crazy, and that happened often. And it was just they were just so petty and so angry often. And I remember having to do shows with. Let's call this one Steve.
What's his name? Steve?
And his name is Steve. No last name.
We don't need to hide anyone's.
We're not hiding it. I remember, again, carpooling and whatever, and he being so drunk and so high, and me going, I can't get in the car. And also too, it's I didn't have a license, right? I still don't. We'll talk about that later. I still don't have a license. Shush. So I was it's not like I'd be I'll drive. I was just I can't get in the car with you. But you're 4 hours out of the city, and you're I remember once being in the car with this guy, Steve, and so drunk. I think I only did 2 gigs with him. The second one, I was like, no, I'm going to die. Him driving and just talking to me the entire time. I was like,
oh my God.
Didn't put his eyes on the road once, smoking joints in the car. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. And at the same time, it's if you were no to the gigs, then you didn't get any gigs.
Right.
And they're okay, well, we don't need anybody else. So unless you're going to host with Steve and Scott, you're not going anywhere. And you're literally risking life and limb to go. It was good. Okay, more things.
And was this after Russell Peters?
This was after Russell
so
Peters.
So it was a big notch down.
I actually, you know what? I met Scott on the Russell Peters tour.
Oh, was he opening for him too?
Yes, he was the host and I was the opener. But it was all different then because, we were having a good time and he was...
Right.
So he tricked me into thinking he was a good man.
So how long... So eventually were you able to not work with these guys?
Yes,
okay.
Eventually it got to the point too because then the booker, oh my God, then the booker was crooked and oh my God. Did you ever have this? We went through a rash of this where the booker or the club or whoever was booking the gig would tell you what you were making but wouldn't tell you what the gig was getting paid.
Oh.
Right? So they'd go and say, Debra, it's $200. And the gig itself, they'd charge the company or the whoever
way more.
$1,500. And the comics were only making $200 each, and there was only and $900 would go to the. Yeah,
do you ever feel like that happen? I don't know if this happens, but I feel like I've heard some agents will charge when they do negotiations.
Oh yes,
they'll charge more, but they don't necessarily tell you.
Well, that's what was going on.
Take off from the top.
Yes, that's what was going because the average is 20%. That's
right.
Sometimes you get a person that takes 10%, maybe speakers groups and stuff like that, maybe 25%, but it's rarely more than 25%. Rarely more. And I just remember getting catching one of the bookers in a lie. Because it's just the things that you find out that, you're making X number of dollars and they're making 10 times as much as you. And you're like, oh, yeah, this is wrong. So then I stopped doing those gigs because I was like, well, this is just killing me. I'm with dangerous men and I'm getting paid $200. It's terrible.
Terrible.
But then, awful. And then I started, then I had the opportunity to start working in the States, I got my visa. And that
Oh,
was around
nice.
2008, 2000.
How did you get it?
That was through Last Comic Standing.
Oh, right.
Oh, and
so
I
you
was-
were one of the finalists?
I got to top 10 in 2007, the same year as Amy Schumer.
That's amazing.
I don't know if you've heard of her, but
I've heard of her.
She's doing okay. And she's made a career, made a go of it for herself. God bless her.
She seems like to have a future ahead of her.
I think she's going to make it. But it was lovely because that was a situation where there was it was myself and Matt Kirshen. Do you know Matt Kirshen?
Yeah,
Yes,
he's a really
lovely,
nice. I
lovely
love him.
human man,
I
and
haven't seen him forever.
I met him on doing that, so I've known him for years and
Okay.
years, and he's lovely. But he's a Brit, and
Yes.
so the two of like literally getting that gig, they were just like, "Here's your visas," and we're like, "What?"
Wow.
So I was just given a visa.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then all I had to do was just keep it up. You know what I mean? Just pay every 3
keep
years. Just
working?
keep working and not get arrested and all these things. But yeah, so
Wow,
I
that's
was very,
really
That's
great.
I mean a huge gift. So because of that, then I started to get to do some more clubs, and that's
Okay.
when sort of the real road work, the proper road work, started to
Yeah.
happen. And again, that's a whole different beast as well. I find I don't know if the people watching know about comedy condos. Do you know about?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. One time I was in one of my first condos. I smelled like something rotten the entire time, and I couldn't. I was like,
you can't find a smell. Is there anything
I
scarier
couldn't-
than that?
It is the
It's
worst
awful.
thing. And I was complaining to everyone. I was talking to. Do you know John Christ? He's like a big Christian comic.
Oh no, John Christ.
John Christ.
Okay,
You know
if
him,
his last
right?
name
John
is Christ, I'm gonna lose it. That's amazing. Perfect.
But he's this big anyway, so I was talking to him and he was like, you're just putting in your time. You're putting in your time. I was like, you don't understand. It smells so bad in
Something
here.
is dead
I
in this.
feel like I'm going to faint or
Oh my
pass out.
God.
And I didn't find it till the last night. There was rotten milk in the trash can from the previous
That's
comic.
disgusting.
It was
They are,
disgusting.
and this is, God bless the clubs. I know they
Yeah.
do their best. I mean, sometimes they don't, but sometimes they don't do their best. I mean, there was definitely a couple that just like you walked
So
in and
bad.
went, "What am I doing here? This is inhumane," and
Yeah.
just. Oh, the men that would stay there. What are you? I mean, I just assumed jizzing everywhere. Like, I'm sorry. Just like the kind of thing, like, if I had a blue light or a black light or whatever, it's like, I mean, just like everything, the mirror, the walls. You're just like, what
The
is
couches are not safe.
Oh my
They're
God.
not safe.
You weren't naked the entire time. You're like, I'm showering with my clothes on. It was terrifying. It was like, you didn't sit on any surface without 2 or 3 layers. I mean, just...
Yeah.
Yikes! Sometimes like really awful. And I remember too, there was one in Canada, very bad one in Winnipeg, and it was like, I mean, it was a condo. There was a roof and doors, but like that was it. Do you know what I mean? Those ones that they would put
really
a cot
bad.
and like a wooden chair. They'd be like, "There's your condo for the weekend." And you're like, really? I mean,
Yeah.
okay, yes, you're not paying for it, but it's like, come on, we can't have a little TV or a little sofa, nothing. I mean, just crazy.
There were some bad ones.
Some really bad ones.
I forgot about that whole.
Right?
I forgot about
because
condos.
you blocked it out of your mind.
You block it out
because you're not ready to think about it. I'm
No,
sorry that I
no.
brought this up.
It's very triggering.
It's very triggering. And then there was also two. I mean, I stopped working for a club because of the condo. Okay. So now often when you would do the condos, you would share with the comedians that were there this weekend.
Right.
And most of the time you're like, okay, whatever,
Yeah.
the host and the feature and yourself, that's
Yeah,
fine. We're
yeah.
going to work together all weekend. I'm okay. We'll go for brunch. God bless.
Yeah.
But it was, that was, a 3-bedroom condo they would give you.
Right.
And I remember booking this one club, and I was the headliner, and it was a 2-bedroom condo. And so I was like, okay, I have that great. And then they're like, oh, well, the host and the feature, the one guy's going to sleep on the sofa. And I was kind of like, okay, I mean, I guess so. And then it came down to I was sleeping on the sofa.
How did that happen?
I know. And I was like, and it was going to be 2 men and me sleeping on the sofa. And I was like, no. And then, of course,
No.
and I'm a diva. He badmouthed me. Oh, Debra DiGiovanni is such a diva. And I was like, because I don't want to sleep as a grown woman. I don't want to sleep on the sofa with men I don't know.
No.
Yeah, so that would happen often.
Yeah.
So you'd get there and then be like, oh, sorry, there's 19 people staying here. And you'd be like,
What?
and then you'd have to, yeah. And then
I don't think I had that
that
experience.
happened to me many times. Or like it would be a pull-out sofa. And again, a pull-out sofa, fine.
Yeah.
If it's all women or someone else,
Right.
I'm not sleeping on the sofa when there are grown men taking the bedrooms.
Ew, yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
not
And,
cool.
yeah. And also, what do the dudes give up the bedroom? Like,
I
give up
know.
one of
Why
you
would they
to
not let
be
you
decent
have
and
the bedroom?
Yeah, and so that I had stopped working with a club because of that. I was just like, okay, whatever. And that's fine. And really, really bad-mouthed me for years. And I was just like,
Really?
yeah,
What's
okay.
his first name?
Jason.
They all have such generic
I know
names.
these are all white men.
Jason
If
Scott.
you can't tell, you can't. These are all white men for sure. But yeah, that is terrifying. And so that happened several times, and then there was. This was, where is this? In British Columbia somewhere. And it was a club, and it had a hotel. It was a proper, great. Okay, fine.
Fancy.
But not a hotel. It wasn't
Not
a
a
hotel.
nice
I want to
one?
say I don't know if it was what's tenement housing, or maybe it was halfway housing. I don't know what was going on.
no,
It
halfway?
was was a door
Like
that had
drug
like had like a punch code
Oh,
at
yeah,
the door.
yeah. I've had a lot of
And-
those.
right? You've had
yeah,
those.
Yeah.
You're like, okay,
Where you're
fine.
like, is this a hotel? Why is it a
It's
code?
not. That's exactly. You're like, there's no front desk or anything. It's just
Yeah.
like the code, and then you walk in. It's just a hallway with a bunch of doors. Okay,
Right.
and I remember the code getting there, and the door was propped open, and it wasn't working. The lock had been broken.
Right.
and just going upstairs and just. British Columbia has a lot of unhoused people. Has a real problem with unhoused.
really?
Really, like a very big problem.
Okay.
And a lot of drugs, and just like walking in, looking down the hallway, and going, no.
So
no,
did you
no.
just leave?
So I would just call the club and be like, I can't do this, and
Yeah.
they said this is, I don't feel like it's safe and
Yeah.
whatever. So.
Did they
And
give
then-
you a hotel?
No, and then
No?
no, of course not. And then they, and then you feel like a jerk because then they're
Yeah.
like, someone clearly comes and takes these unhoused people away, and you're like, well, no, I'm an
my
awful
God.
person, But and then the safety, fine. So then the second night I go, no one's in the hall, but the door is not locking still, and literally the club said to me, well, what you want to do is just get into the room, get into the, the interior, they said, and just make sure no one follows you in. And I was like, well, okay, I'm going to try. And then I said, so if someone does follow me in, and literally, I swear to you, I shit you not, my friends, they were like, you try to fight them off if you can. And I was like,
What?
what am I doing right now?
Zombies or something. Like I'm picturing you fighting off the
Like
zombie
wolves.
meth head.
It's,
Like, I got
with
this.
you do karate, right? No, I do not do any self-defense at all. But it's just like, all I want to do is go and tell jokes. Do you know what I mean? It's
Right,
like,
but that's
should I be
not
fighting
just
for my
it.
life.
No.
Just try to fight them off. And I was like, I'm
and
in
they're like,
trouble.
the other guys have done it. They're all fine with
They're all
it.
fine. I mean, one guy did lose an eye, but whatever. He's got two, or he had to. But luckily that time, actually, I was very fortunate because it was one of the first times I was performing in British Columbia, and a bunch of women comics rallied.
Oh.
And they were just, I stayed at hers one night and hers the next
that's
night.
good.
So it was just like,
Okay.
thank goodness for a comedy community. But it was really just like,
Yeah.
what? And they had all had the exact same experience, of course. All of them, anyone that was, I'll take the hotel so I don't have to travel home at 2:00 in the morning. And then they're like, yeah, no. So
Yeah, they don't always think about women's safety, that it's a little bit different than
yes,
men.
a little bit different.
You know,
than men. Yeah.
one time they announced the hotel. I had a stalker at one point, and they announced and I saw him in the audience, and it creeped me out because he had traveled far.
Oh my God.
And they announced at the club where the comics were staying.
Oh, I've had that too.
And I was like,
Yeah.
this is insane.
You're like,
They're like,
no.
well, we're sponsoring. They're sponsored by us.
Because that does happen sometimes, where
And
they're
you're like,
sponsored by the hotel.
You can't tell people.
Or when the club is in the hotel. Have you ever had that? Yes.
Oh my God, there's a weird one where they were having us stay, and it's literally the door is one stop from the stage almost. You get off the stage, you walk, there's the elevator to your room. You're like, if everyone's going to see me walk to my room.
Good night, everybody.
Can I just go upstairs now?
I'm just going to take the elevator, just ride it for a while. But that does happen, though. That does
I know,
happen.
it's really
and
weird.
again, I get it. You're sponsored by the hotel. I understand. But you can't you can't let it be known that the comedians are
Where they
staying
are.
there. No.
No.
And you're right. And they really do forget, that it's a little different for women. It's just a
Yeah.
little different from. And then you have, of course, wonderful clubs that like
that-
walk you
Oh, yeah.
to the hotel, even if it's across the street. You
Yeah.
know? Hilarities. Where's that one? Hilarity.
Oh,
and
I was
Pickwick.
just at Hilarities.
They're
They're
fantastic.
so
They're the
nice.
best.
Sam.
Cleveland, yes.
Shout
They-
out to Sam.
Such good
I know.
people.
They-
Great club.
Great
good people.
food.
Good food. The whole thing.
Oh
Pay
yeah,
well. They
even
are
Nick,
delightful.
Nick, the owner, gave me a pep talk. He was
Nick, you know, gave
worried
me
that
a
I was
baseball
feeling.
bat.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
always gives everyone a baseball. He was like, "I'm worried about Erica," and he sat down with me and he's like, "I just want to let you know, you've got a talent and you should just keep going."
Thank you.
And then-
You're like, okay. That's a little like.
I was like,
all
okay.
But that good clubs like that.
Yeah,
like
that's-
you stay across the street.
You get-
Like it's literally
yeah.
like 2 blocks. You can see the hotel.
And they'll walk you to it.
And they
They'll make
walk you to
sure-
the door. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like even that is just like, okay, super
Yeah.
classy. And then there's a wonderful club. Have you ever done Rumors in Winnipeg?
Rumors?
Oh,
No, I
I'll
haven't
set
done a
you up.
lot of Canada.
It is one of the best. It's just one of the best clubs.
Really?
It is. It's Winnipeg. God bless you, Winnipeg. I love you. But it's a town that's it's cold. It's not. There's
Yeah, not
but
a lot of-
not a lot going on.
Uh-huh.
But because of that. I mean, the club is rammed at all times, and there's only one
Wow.
comedy club in the entire city.
Oh, that's so
It is
nice.
dynamite, and the guy that runs it, Tyler, is fantastic. And the same thing, they pick you up from drop you at the hotel, drop you off, pick you up. It's just little things like that.
I know.
You
I
know?
was
Like,
thinking
thank
of making
you.
a list since I've had some really bad experiences lately. I was thinking of making a list of just like the bare minimum.
The bare minimum.
Bare minimum
Yes.
expectations
Yes.
of a club. Say hello
I
when the
know.
comedian walks in. Be like, oh,
Greet us.
you're performing
Yes,
tonight.
I know, right? Or even like, and I'm not saying you have to recognize who the comic is.
but just-
I'm not, hi, Deborah. No.
yeah.
Just, hi, I'm
Hi.
headlining the club tonight.
Oh, let me show you the green room.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. You know, and I know everyone's busy and whatnot, but like also to your, if the hotel is not walking distance to the club, although we love that.
Yes.
If it's walking distance, we love that.
Yes.
Like, and by walking distance, I mean like within 5 to 10 minutes, because you're walking
Yeah.
at night, so it's like
Right.
25 minutes is not walking distance. It's
No.
just not. It's
No,
not.
no.
So, but you know when they do, like the feature will pick you up.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So nice.
And I hope you're giving the feature extra gas money or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, that's very nice when they do that. 'Cause
It
it's
is
just like,
really
thank you.
nice.
Everyone gets to the club all safe and on time.
Yeah,
and,
I've had
everyone gets
features
home.
pick me up from the airport, like just on their own volition.
Oh, that's
They're like, "Oh, do you
nice.
need a ride?" And
Oh,
so nice.
That's lovely. And 2 clubs, and this is, I don't even expect this, but when you do it, it's bonus marks when they pick you up from the airport. When
I
the
know.
club picks you up
So
from the
they
airport.
used to
you're
do
like,
that all the time before COVID, and then they like somehow they've
Stopped.
all stopped doing
that's
it.
a bummer, because that was very nice.
Sometimes
when
they
you're
do it, but
waiting
yeah.
and it's like, they're, hi, you're like, oh God, I think
It
you
is
have
so.
to-
It's a
you have to pick-
person.
Yes.
Well, also, Hilarities has a driver.
Yes.
And
they're so good. my
yeah, they're the
God.
best.
Have me back, Hilarities. It's been a couple years. Can I come back?
Hilarities.
They're
Yeah,
so
have
great.
Deb back.
They're so good. It's a good neighborhood.
And-
but a lot of really good clubs do that too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, you know what is a really nice one too? Like this is more than just Rhodes Stories. This
Yeah.
is club stories
Club
now.
stories.
This is if you're thinking of opening a comedy club, things that you could do. You know what my favorite thing is?
What?
This is you want to make comics happy? Put a clock on stage. Put a clock
Yes.
at the back of the room or that's all you're going to do.
Somewhere.
That's all you're going to do. So they can look up and go and say, oh, I've done 19 minutes or I'm at 43 minutes.
Some
or,
comics ask for that. Like when
Yeah.
I tour with Jim Norton, he always wants one on stage.
Right.
And this is funny. So at one, it was a theater, and the theater didn't have it working. Like they made a big deal putting it up, and then it didn't work. And then somehow they gave me the light by turning on all the house lights. I was like, they cannot do this for Jim. So I went to the back and I said, first of all, don't do that thing where you turn on all the house lights.
Don't.
But also, just so you know, the clock isn't working.
Oh my
and
God.
the only reason I told him that was he might need a light,
Yeah, yeah.
because the clock isn't working. The guy like Jim had just gotten on stage. The guy walks all the way to the front of the stage in front of everyone and starts messing with the clock.
While Jim is on stage?
Well, Jim's on stage, and Jim's like, dude, what
Although,
are you
to be
doing?
honest, I would like to have seen his reaction to that. To be honest,
He
that's
was
a lot of fun.
confused.
Yeah,
He was
it's
just like, what
what's
are you
happening?
doing? And he goes, someone told you to do that? And I was like, no. then the guy comes back and I go, why did you do that? He goes, oh, it helped him. I was like, no, it did not help him.
That is amazing too, isn't it? That
People think that we need help.
Or not even that we need help, that we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
That is another thing too. That is amazing. This is another one. If you're, I'm assuming people that want to start doing comedy are watching this. Listen. Or if you want to start running comedy,
or if you never want to start,
or if you never want to do comedy. But this is something that we can say this, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a jerk. Nobody on this planet wants a 3-hour comedy show.
No.
Every booker in the world, it's got to be, we got to do 3 hours. No. Dear God, no. 90 minutes is a comedy show, unless it's like, a big name. You've paid a lot of money to go. Yeah. Like, I'm assuming Jim does a long time, and that's fine.
Even Jim doesn't go over an hour.
An hour.
He does
I was going to say, because we are human beings.
Yeah.
And we can barely take, you have an opener, maybe they do 20 or 30, you have a little intermission.
Yes.
And then they come back and do an hour. That's it. But the people that are like, no, you're gonna do an hour, and they're gonna do no, nobody. And they think that we're being cheap. They're like that we want to get our money's worth. I'm like,
no.
Listen to me right now. People can't even sit through a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
Do you honestly think they're going to be able to do 3 hours?
I have a question.
Comedy?
Has this ever happened to you where like I've had a stint sometimes of just where they think I want an all-female lineup.
Because they think everything's a girls' night out.
They think, they think, it's a female comedian. Yeah. She's going to want all women. And it's like nothing. I mean, I would like one or one.
But it doesn't need to be.
But it doesn't, you don't need to make it
a girls' night.
Thing.
They know.
And you're not helping me by doing that because now
ridiculous.
All the women have the same material. You don't stand out.
That's the thing what people are forgetting. Yeah. Yes, always support women, always.
Yes.
But like if it's a 3-person lineup, 2 women, great.
Yes,
super
I love
duper.
that. I love having a woman host.
So do I.
Yeah.
I love it. But it's also, you're right, because we do step on each other's toes in terms of material. Because trust me, people, there's only so much material. There's only so many topics. Don't kid yourself. You know what I mean? It's like it's human experience, right?
Exactly.
I love it if it can be me, a woman, and LGBTQ person. That's what I want.
Yes, I like diversity.
Yes, so do I.
Exactly.
I would love that. If I
that.
can do that, if you want, because you want to shake it up, you want it to be a little different. I don't think you should be night and day.
No.
Like I don't think I should be with like a rage-filled, super blue comic. I don't want to do that.
No. But I like that. It's supposed to be
a little bit for something for everybody. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I've had that happen to the point where I have to request, like, please don't put all women on my lineup because it just makes it harder.
I also feel like it scares men away too.
Yes.
Yeah. Then men think, it's a girls' night. It's only ladies, and it's like it's really not. It's really not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's it's.
It's just weird.
We should just teach a little course on how to run a comedy show. Like that's it. That's all. It doesn't take much.
It's pretty simple.
Be seen and heard.
Yes.
You would be surprised how many times you've gotten to a gig and there's no microphone. So now what I'm doing, we literally have to put in riders.
Really?
Oh my God. The one-nighters that I'm talking about.
I haven't. Like in a theater.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I haven't done a lot of theaters.
Or like a
That's
again, like
insane.
these corporate shows. Like it'll be nurses. You know what I mean? Like it's our thing.
Yeah. Okay, I have done that.
And you get there and there's no mic.
Yeah,
and you're just like,
I have done that.
I need a mic.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I'm a lone person, but I still need a mic. So then
at
you have
least
to
to hold. You need one to hold.
You need one to hold. Sometimes they give you a lav mic, which is strange.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but then it's strange. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You ever had one of those? Have you ever had a Janet Jackson mic?
No, I've never done that.
Where they give you, where it's on your head.
No, I feel like I'm doing a TED talk or
my dancing. Do I have to dance now?
Yeah,
I've got my hands free. It's so weird, but it's small things. So we need to be seen. Is very good.
Yeah,
that's the only thing.
Seen, safe,
safe,
and just
and heard. These are really
like respect, like basic respect.
Basic, the senses, and that's it. It's so funny too because you think that it's so easy because it is. Comedy should be an easy night.
It should be. It's not a big band.
No,
you don't have to you don't have to help us load in.
There's not an orchestra. There's not anything like just usually one or two people.
One person that comes in and you just have to be like, "Hi, are you doing the show tonight?"
Or what about my favorite is when you go to because I have had the opportunity, fortunate enough to perform in theaters.
Yeah.
And union houses and stuff. Wow, there's
What's a union house?
A union house is like I can't remember the name of the union, but it's an entertainment. It's like it's not a I was going to say it's the entertainment union, but that's not exactly it. It's not Teamsters, but it sort of is kind of.
Okay.
It's sort of like it's people that work in production, right? So it's they work for the theater, and
Right.
it's for.
Oh.
And there should be a union, fantastic, but it's different for comedy because if you're ever going to go and run your own a tour and you want to do theaters, beware, because when you go to big union houses, someone will put the stool on the stage and that costs $800.
What? Why?
Because that's their job, and that is their job. I can bring it out. No, you can't. So you're not allowed to touch the stool. Literally bring the stool, and that's $800. And they have to have that for that's
For the
job.
venue, who's paying?
The venue. You're paying the venue. That's
Whoa.
when you look at all your pricing. That's like,
Oh my
okay.
God.
So like things like that, you can really get screwed over. So you got to read the final. You got to read the small print,
Whoa.
and they have to have and again, this is all humane. We understand.
Yeah.
They have to have a lunch break, whatever. But you can't. If they're on their lunch break is not done for 2 more minutes, they just.
That's crazy.
Can I get into the? They want
Wow.
nothing. You're like, okay, all right, gotta wait. Could I get into the bathroom, please? Like seriously, it's a lot. There's a lot of things that you learn. So it's like,
have you done casino? A lot of casinos.
I have done some casinos.
Do
and
you
they're
do?
Weird.
Aren't they
They're
weird?
so
I need
weird.
someone to tell me that because I just don't do. I don't do
they're
well
not
at
See,
them.
I feel like there's a couple of types. Like you get the casino where you're like actually in the casino.
Yeah.
And it is a showroom. Do you know,
Right.
there will be a
Yeah,
show,
yeah.
there'll be a stage and there'll be seats facing the stage. But sometimes you often have at casinos where there's no door blocking the
Right.
comedy from the actual slot machines, right?
Yeah.
So, and because often it's music, so music is playing
Oh,
and people are kind
yeah.
of like whatever. But then you just have people kind of standing at the edge,
Oh yeah, that's
watching,
terrible.
wandering, and you can hear ching, ching, ching. You can hear everything. Those are awful.
those are
They're just
awful.
the worst of the worst because there's no boundary. It's just whatever's happening is happening. So you're usually those are rarely good shows.
Yeah, okay, good to
Rarely
know.
do you have a good time. And then you do have casinos where they have a proper room and you got to pay extra tickets and the door's shut and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're still not good.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, are those good?
And they're still not
'Cause-
great either. They're still not great either. It's rough. You know what I mean? It really is. It's just
Do you have a
people giggle.
rider? Do you ask for a rider?
Do you know what? Now it's honestly like you think at the beginning, I'm never going to do that. You have to.
Yes.
Because it's little things like I need a stool on stage. Because
Yeah.
most comics do. We want a bottle of water
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And then often you have to find out, am I allowed to bring a liquid onto stage? Sometimes big theaters you're not allowed to.
Wow.
Even in a bottle or whatever.
So you have to
I mean,
ask
often
for-
you can't do alcohol, and that's
Right.
almost always. But
yeah.
I had to put a bottle of water on stage, a mic, mic stand with a wired mic or whatever
Yes.
you want. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. I need a mic stand because I keep the mic in the stand.
Yeah.
When I perform, that's just me. But little things like that.
Yeah.
A clock is nice. Do you know what I mean?
But I
is
mean,
there a
food- do you have
backstage?
food stuff
like
back-
for backstage, you know what I mean? I do like the base granola bars. Maybe a fruit platter, but I'm always like, don't waste your money on it. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I'm not mad if you just give me a box of granola bars and a couple bottles of water. I'm jazzed. That's enough.
I ask for coconut water, which has become the best thing ever because I'm always dehydrated.
Oh,
on
that's
the
a very
road.
smart thing. Look at
Yeah,
you. Good
so it
deal.
has electrolytes.
Oh yeah, good deal. You see, now look at you think, oh, I'm a diva. No,
Yeah.
there's certain things that you need to. You
Yeah,
just do.
I mean, if they don't do it, I don't. I
Oh, I'm
never
not
throw
mad.
a
I'm
fit.
not
I'm just
canceling the show,
If they do
but-
have it, I'm like, oh my
Oh,
god,
yeah.
you did it!
I know. I know.
I got a rider.
Although
And
you
I'm
know what,
shocked.
I did do a tour with a large company that I'll tell you off camera, and they were they tour comedy. They
Yeah.
do in Canada. They tour.
Yeah.
But they have the way that they do it, and what they put in place, and it was always it was me and an opener, so 2 people and the tour manager, 3 people, and they would go and have a part of their contract was food backstage. And so at first you're like, oh, that's very nice. But then, by the 3rd show, you're like, we don't need any of that. It's going
Yeah.
to waste. So there's
Yes.
sandwiches and it'll be like 70 sandwiches. You're like, there's 3 of us.
Right.
We don't need 70 sandwiches. Right. And then, you know what I mean? A huge fruit platter. And you're like,
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
need any of that. Thank
Yeah.
you. So then it's just like, you know what? We'll take some granola bars, maybe
Yeah.
some bananas is always, what
Yeah,
I mean?
that's good
a little
for you.
potassium, a little bit,
Yeah.
some water, maybe a pot of coffee or something
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
coffee is always
maybe,
good.
right? It's like
Yeah.
tea or something.
Yes.
Great. That's
you
all
don't
it
want
is.
a whole meal.
No, I don't need a
No.
whole. And then, then you do this though. And then you find out on the tour that every single night, even when you said, I don't want it, they charge you $475 for the food in the green room every night. And you're just like,
They're charging you for it?
yes, because
Like
when
out
you're-
of your-
out of your whatever you're making.
That's
your-
insane.
Mhm. I found that out the hard way.
Wow.
And it was just like,
See,
food is $475 a night.
They should
First
have
of all,
told you that.
they definitely should. And also
Right?
too, we never had $475
Worth of
of food.
food?
Trust me when I say that. Like seriously, and it's
That
just
is
little things that you're like,
crazy.
I don't need that. I don't. And it went to waste. It's like a
Yeah.
huge. I'm like, are you bringing it somewhere? Are you giving it to the staff? Can the staff take it home? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like
no.
A lot of weird things. A lot of weird things in the travels that you learn over time. That you're like, no. Bring bananas, bring your own granola bar, and a bottle of water. God bless.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all. I'd be fine with that. Just give me a bottle of water. That's it. You know?
Yeah, I know. You're right. By the end,
By the end,
that's
it's
how
like-
I felt. Like so recently, who was I with? Rob Schneider. Actually,
Oh, yeah?
well, we were doing this. We were doing some show, and then his flight was near my flight, and so I don't have the. What do you call it when you can go to the
TSA?
lounge?
Oh yeah. Okay.
What do you call that? Like the lounge?
VIP stat- not
yeah,
VIP
I don't
status.
have the status. You
Yeah.
can use the lounge.
Yeah.
So my flight was delayed an hour. So he's like, I'll get you into the lounge. So I was like, oh,
that's
that's
nice.
nice,
Yeah.
right? So I went into the lounge. My flight was delayed an hour. And I was like, oh, this is so nice. And
Yes.
they have all the food,
Coffee
the
and-
layout,
lovely
everything
stuff.
you want.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'm so fancy,
Yeah,
you know?
it's nice though. It's
and you're
fun.
just hanging out. And
And then-
it was delayed another hour. And then I'm like, well, I guess I'll have some more snacks. And then it was delayed another hour. And I was like, I can't fucking look at this food anymore.
Please let me leave.
And then I was there 8 hours.
No.
And by the end, I felt like I had been on a cruise ship.
Oh, my
where,
God.
You know, in the beginning on a cruise ship, the food looks so amazing.
Yes,
and by the end,
of
you're
it,
like, I can't
I'm
even
literally
look at
sickened.
this.
But also
Yeah.
too, and they'll change it. It'll be breakfast, lunch, dinner. They do.
Yeah, they kept
There was
changing it.
granola, and now there's
And it's
soup.
just-
You know what I mean? It's like
I
okay.
went through 3 courses sitting there,
Okay.
and it was
They're-
awful.
See, the thing again, too, you know what? Like the lounge and those sorts of things, they're
Yeah.
lovely. They're
At
lovely to
first,
have.
yeah.
Yeah. But to me, it's just like, let me just sit somewhere away from people.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of what. And the really nice ones, they have, their own bathrooms. So it's like,
Yes.
like you
Oh,
go
yeah,
to the
that one
lounge, and
did- that one
that's
did have
very
their
nice.
own
That's very
bathroom.
nice.
It
You're
was
like, I don't have
super
to.
nice. It's
Yeah.
just funny how you
After a while, you're
after
like,
a while,
"Get me out of
anything
here."
just feels like
Please
crap.
just-
You're like, just want to leave.
The airport is so volatile, though. Everything about the airport is like,
Oh,
it's good until it's
it is
awful,
the
and then it's the
worst.
worst thing in the world.
I know.
It really is.
And then they went down. It was delayed 8 hours, and they went down, and they were like, "This is free for you." There were like 3 chips out. They like put Doritos out. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna make up for the 8-hour delay by putting a couple Fritos for you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Do you know what my favorite is? This happened to me just, where was I? I think I was in Canada. I think I was coming back from Canada, and our flight was delayed like 4 hours. And so, but here's the thing: I knew before I got there, if that's going to happen, okay.
Yeah.
They text and they say you're already delayed 4
Yes,
hours. You're
then
like,
you know.
Okay, well then no, I'm not going
Yeah.
to leave. But we got there and it was delayed another 4. So like all in total 8. But wait, 4. And then they give you, we have vouchers for everyone. Don't worry because we're late.
Oh, the food.
And it's $10.
Yeah.
$10 only to be used at this airport.
Oh yeah.
And you're just like,
at certain places, like
Yeah.
you can only use it at Jamba Juice.
yeah,
or
you know what I mean?
whatever.
It's like, you're like, and also $10 at the airport gets you a
Nothing.
napkin.
Yeah.
Like literally gets you just those sorts of things. You're like, really, guys?
I know the
Come
airport
on.
flying has become
It's
so
the
bad.
flying has become savage. It has.
That's what I
It's never
think.
been great, but now it's near inhumane at this
that's
point.
what I think. I think
Unbelievable.
it's like a monopoly at
yeah.
this point, and because no one can complain, and you
Because there's no other option. That's how they get us.
But
that's how they get
the
us.
definition of a monopoly, where it's
Yes.
like there should
Yeah.
be some checks and balances on
Yeah.
it, and
And they just don't.
They just
And you have
aren't.
to remember, everybody, that the people that own the airports and then whatever, they're so fucking rich, it's disgusting.
it is.
They're so rich.
Yeah.
But just like all billionaires, their thing is like, well, I don't want to give up my, weekends in Saint Tropez, so I am going to, lay off 500 workers. Do you know what I mean? They don't get,
Yeah.
because this is what I heard. This is what one of my very good friend of mine, his partner works for Air France. Okay. So we get some inside scoop.
Yeah.
All right?
Let us know.
Apparently, when we had our pandemic, when we had the COVID in the
Yes.
world, I don't think they laid off. I think they probably just let go. So let's say an airport has 50,000 workers.
Yeah.
Okay, they let go 30,000 and never hired them back. COVID over, pandemic done. They never hired them back. So when you go to, I mean, how many times has this happened to you in the last 2 years? I too many times to count. Literal no staff.
Oh, yeah.
We do not have any flight
Ever.
attendants. We do not have a pilot. And you're just like,
No.
It's not. Look at if you're like the plane is broke. You know what they keep saying? This is the one that I also found out. They say complications.
Yeah.
Complications means we don't have staff. That's what that means. Because
and they overbook the plane.
Yes.
They're like, we've overbooked a plane and we don't have a pilot. And then they'll be like, well, the pilot's flying back. And you're like, so you never had a pilot.
You never had a pilot.
You never had
but
one.
You see, they can't tell you that because then people would literally start riots and go crazy.
Well, I think they should.
I think they should, but yes, they absolutely at that point.
Yeah.
And I think too, it's because also of like in the fine print. It says, you can get your money back or refunds or whatever when it's not force majeure, when it's beyond our control. If it's weather, they can't control that. If something falls off the plane, fine.
Right.
But not having people doesn't count. So they made up a new one called complications. So no one can say, give me my money back. Give me my money. Yeah,
I forgot. I just realized I forgot to get my money back for that flight, for the one that was an 8-hour delay.
Yeah, and they don't care. They just really don't care anymore. And this is another thing about the staff too that I heard. And I was like, what? Okay, so pandemic, they get rid of 30,000, more than half of the staff, right?
Yeah.
And then a lot of people too during the 2021, 22, a lot of pilots and attendants apparently just retired. They were given the option to retire. So they're like, okay, so they took it. So now they need new pilots, but the problem is you don't just graduate from pilot school and be like, I'm a pilot. No, you've got to like train, intern, fly. So that even, let's say the window, I don't know what this exact window is, but let's say the window was like 3 years. So even if people became pilots in 2022, they're not ready until 2020. So we literally are in a shortage of pilots.
Wow.
So like even if it's like everyone's becoming a pilot, you're still not ready. So
that's crazy.
I know. So this is why, if it feels awful and it feels like so many flights are delayed and so many flights are just canceled
because there aren't enough pilots.
This is literally what's happening now. It's crazy.
That is. I guess we should go. We could go to pilot school.
We could go to pilot school. In 3 years, we'll be.
That could be our fallback plan.
Yes.
Have you ever had a flight that was really scary, like that you were? Or do you usually feel good on flights? Are you scared of flying or no?
You know what? I don't love flying, but I'm a good flyer.
Okay.
Somewhere along the way in my career, I've been able to sleep on planes.
Oh,
and
that's
I don't know. At the first years I wasn't, but now it's like I'm sound asleep before we even take off, and I often wake up like, because we've landed. Like honestly, this. I used to do jokes about like this is. I have attendants sometimes when I'm leaving the flight. They go to me, "You slept," and I'm like. Yeah, clean up.
Do you take anything or no?
I don't know what it is. I am just like, bye. I think my brain goes, I don't want to be here, and it just knocks me out and just puts me out. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so I'm very fortunate in that I've had some bad flights. Like I've been some bad.
You woke up a couple times.
I've had some very bad turbulence.
Okay,
and that's very. That really spooks you too. That really does. You've had some really bad turbulence, and it is.
I almost grabbed the guy's hand once because I was so scared.
Because it's so. Yeah. Okay, this is not my story, but it's my friend Mark's story, who was a comedian with me for a really long time.
Aww.
Now, this is not a comedy flight. It's just a flight story.
Okay.
He was going to South Africa. His wife is South African, so he was going to South Africa, and you have to go through France. I think it's a very long flight, and between France and South Africa. They had such bad turbulence. Like he couldn't get on a plane for a year. Like he could.
Really?
It was people were like people were vomiting. People were like
God.
It was like the kind of turbulence that like bodies couldn't handle. Do you know what I mean? It's like he said every child on the plane threw up. Like it was just.
What?
And then when it was done, it was just the plane was like
a
urine,
boat.
vomit. It was
Ew.
just hell for the rest of the flight. Like, I mean, seriously.
How long was
Can
the
you imagine? I mean,
flight?
like, on a long flight. Like, it's.
Oh my
I think
God.
they're, I don't know, 18 hours or something terrifying. Like, it's just.
That's
awful. Awful.
That's like that movie. Did you see that movie? What was the movie about the models? The pyramid, something pyramid. Did you see that the pyramid of the triangle of sadness? Have you seen that movie, The Triangle of Sadness?
No, I have not. But I know what you're talking about.
There's a boat
Is there
scene.
like
There's a boat scene in it where it goes on forever, and it's just everyone getting sick on the boat, and you're like, I can't
I can't
had
watch
to
that.
fast forward.
I'm not. I have a vomit phobia.
Me too.
Oh my God.
I can't. When people say the word,
No.
I can't even.
I can't
hear
watch
the word.
animated. I can't watch animated.
I can't even hear
No,
about it.
Same.
It's like
I get worried that like if it happened and someone was sick on me, I would maybe kill them and be like and be like, but officer, I got a phobia. Like, I'm serious.
No, I have a fear too.
Same.
And
It
if
is bad.
someone
A
tells me
terror.
a story where it's involved, I'm just immediately like,
no, I gotta
can't.
go. Yeah.
It really, me
So imagine
too.
being on that flight.
Oh,
like,
that's
are you kidding
awful.
me? Awful. And
No.
like to the point like where he said that like attendants were crying. Like it was that
Oh,
bad.
my
It was
God.
just I don't know how you get on a plane again. I don't know how you
No.
get on a plane after that. And he does and he has and everything's fine. Like the trip home was fine, but it was just one of those terrible flights.
Yeah, that's
I did
awful.
have a very my bad flights are usually human bad.
Oh, like a person's annoying?
Someone's ruining the flight. Okay, listen to me.
Yeah, who was it?
Babies.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
I am patient with babies because I
Yeah.
understand they're a baby and they cannot control it.
Yes.
They can't.
Yes.
They're going to cry. That's it. The air pressure
Mm-hmm.
affects, I mean, humans, think about if you feel weird, it's a baby. They feel
Right.
super weird and no
Yeah.
one can explain to them what's going on. So
Yeah.
when babies cry on planes, I'm like, you know what?
It's okay.
It happens. But one time, there was one time where I had words. I'm so glad this was pre TikTok because someone
Yeah.
I would be canceled so hard.
Yeah, you'd be
But like I
Karenized.
literally was just like, I can't take a babe. Not okay. There's crying and then there's screaming to just scream. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference. You can
Oh,
tell the
yeah.
difference. Crying and then the crying of just like, I'm bored, I'm whatever. And they were just ignoring the child.
Oh,
and
my
I got to the
God.
point where I literally was like, pick up the child! Pick up the child! Like I couldn't take it. And then the man was like, baby's crying. I was like, I know baby's crying. That's an ignored baby. Give me the baby. Like I was literally like, I will rock this baby. Please. And I'm not joking. People in front of me turned and they were like, please pick up the baby. Like, it was too much.
Did they pick up the baby?
They did not. And they got very angry at me.
Oh my
like, you don't
God.
tell us what to do. And I was just like, oh God, it was terrible.
my God.
And then one other time too, poor thing. And this was not this person's fault, not their
Yeah.
fault at all. A girl, okay, if you don't know this about flying, never go on a flight if you have ear problems or sinus
yeah.
problems. If you have a sinus infection, do not fly because you get in the air and
It
it will
hurts.
the pain
Yeah.
will be so bad.
Yeah.
And one time I was on a flight and she was maybe 8 or 9 years old, and the poor thing, like I'm eavesdropper. I'm such an eavesdropper. What's going on? I gotta know what's going on. Listening to what's happening. And she's telling the attendant, she's got a very bad ear infection. And the attendant's like, okay, well, this is gonna be a little rough then. And did whatever they could. And they, earplugs and, did a blanket when they used to give blankets. Remember when they used to give
Oh
blankets?
yeah, they used to care.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore. But
They
then,
give you little wipes
oh,
now.
yeah,
They're like, here's a little sanitary
And-
wipe
and they're
because we didn't clean the
No,
plane. So
Could
you
clean the plane
clean it
yourself. Do you mind? Okay. And when it's going to take 17 of those though. But anyway, that's fine. But this was the time where they
Yeah.
a blanket pillow set in this.
Oh, yeah.
This poor thing though. When we were landing, it was like a wounded animal.
Oh,
Just
no.
like, and I was like, you can't be mad at her. People were losing their mind. She was wailing on a level I've not experienced before. It was just like,
Was it a baby or a person?
no, she was like 8 years old or
Oh,
so.
8?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Like, I don't know
no.
how old children are. Like 6. She could have been 14.
Yeah.
I have
Oh,
no
my
idea.
gosh.
But like, seriously, she was 6 to 20. I have no idea. I can't tell the age. I can't tell. But it was inhumane. And like, even the mother was just
Were you like,
I'm
pick
so
up
sorry.
the baby?
Rock the baby. Rock the teenager. It's like, please soothe that young adult. But it was just, and those are, and that's, you can't get past it, and there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do, and you're just like, I know this isn't your fault, but dear God, I want you to fall out of the sky right now. Just like the,
Oh my
just the
God!
kind
There was
of
a
noise.
kid kicking my chair once.
Kicking is-
and we hadn't even taken off.
No,
he
that's-
just kept kicking
no.
it, and I go, I can't. I go, I can't. then this was amazing that you would think they'd get mad at me. Instead, the father noticed an empty seat that was further that had a row to itself and goes, do you want to go sit in that seat behind us? It's empty. And
yes, I do, sir.
I do. And then he offered to buy me a drink.
Okay, now listen,
and
this is how you handle it. Watch this.
Right?
This is how you handle things.
Yes,
right
you
there.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about this.
And then I felt guilty. The whole time I was like, oh, I'm such a bitch.
Having a drink, like, I can barely enjoy this. But then
it was also an example of like the squeaky wheel. Like if it would have kept going.
Kicking a chair is completely unnecessary.
So
no matter what,
annoying.
I don't care who you are. Come on.
Yeah.
But now that we're on this topic, let's go with this just for a second.
Yeah.
I saw something, of course, a TikTok about, everything is from TikTok. But about this, there was like sort of the is he right, is he wrong? Where someone will not move seats because this is the seat that they purchased. Like, okay, I'm very particular about my seats. I'm a big person. I'm conscious of what I'm doing when I'm flying.
Do you fly first class?
I will fly
usually.
I'll fly business or first class, which I can't. But there's also a lot of airlines. I'm very, very loyal to 2 airlines because they do a thing that when I know, I book my flights on the phone because you're allowed to, as a big person, you're allowed to do 2 seats. I buy them both, but they give them to you at a discount, which is like, you know what? Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right. And I don't care. It costs me extra money. I do not care. I want everyone to be comfortable, me especially.
Yes.
But I want everyone to be comfortable. I don't want to do this. I don't want to have any drama. I don't want anyone yelling at me. All right. So when I'm flying, like I'm particular. These are the seats I purchased and these are the seats I want. Okay? Yeah. So everyone, if you like an aisle seat, you like a window seat, you do what you got to do to get it. This was the TikTok that I literally just watched before I got here. Just before. This everyone was getting mad at this young man because a man wanted to sit beside his wife. No.
Yeah.
You want to sit beside your wife?
Buy the
You're married to her.
To each other.
You're going to see her tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
This is just a flight. What are we doing right now?
It's not even a kid or something.
A child, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's just like a why? And everyone was really ganging up. I was very upset. I might have left a comment because I was very upset. I'm on his team. And he's like, I'm not, you can't make me move. And then the attendant was like, I will make you move. And he was like, no, you won't. I paid for that. And I feel like that's wrong.
Yeah.
And the man was very calm. And he was like, why didn't you book the seats together? It's like, you had as much time as that. No, this was a last minute flight. And also, what is the point? What is the deal of having to sit beside your partner?
No.
Take a break for 4 hours.
Yeah, you don't need to sit with them.
Flirt with a stranger, God. You know what I mean? Like, do something. Read a book. Like, you have to be sitting beside him? She was behind him.
Right.
I don't agree with that.
Here's a question I have. I dated a comedian once, and he was in first class. And
you were not.
I was in the back. Do you think that's a good boyfriend to not switch with me? He didn't
listen to me.
Yeah.
No, that's a bad boyfriend. Okay, look at this.
I was like, am I being...
No. Okay, look at this. This is what I'll say. Yeah. If you are flying together and something happens and one of you gets upgraded, it has to be you.
Right?
I'm sorry. Yeah. This is, and if anyone is like, oh, what men and women, you want equality. We've made less money than you our entire lives. We're going to take fucking first class when the opportunity comes. Especially if the person flies first class on the regular.
Yes, so
which they
does.
probably did.
He does. And then to make it even worse, he would bring me snacks. No. He would walk all the way back just to basically show me what he was getting in first class. And then he would give me some snacks, like, here's some crumbs from the first class, and kind of make a joke about it.
You're like, that's even worse.
I was like, is this high maintenance to kind of be like,
no?
I went to,
and this is why he's the next boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yes. But listen, though, that's a tough one. I mean, if it happens that you get upgraded, you go, I'm taking it this time. The next time, if it happens again, then you get it.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah,
Let's be even. But if it's someone that flies first a lot, and there's that
And yes, I think
Come
it was
on.
a little complicated because
Yeah.
we may have been broken up and then got back together.
yeah,
You know, it was kind of
so,
one of those things where like maybe he didn't think we were really back together, but still, if you
You know what would
want
have
to get,
I was gonna
yeah,
say
you want to get back.
you want to
together.
make sure we're back together? Give me first glance. I mean, come on. Also, too,
know.
I've been in a situation because I was just saying that
Your boyfriend.
I'm long distance. Me and my
Yeah.
boyfriend are long distance, and so when he's with me, he comes with me to the fun cities. Okay, we
Right.
went to Portland, we went to Seattle together. I'm like, those ones you can come with me.
Yeah, yeah.
But like flying for that,
Yeah.
normally I would be like, I'm gonna sit but I'm gonna sit with him in economy. Like
Right.
I'm gonna sit with you and the two of us. I'm not gonna be
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
bye. I'm just not.
Right.
I'm gonna like, and also he doesn't mind if I'm squished against him because he's my partner. He's the kid.
Yeah.
But even if they were like, I'll pay for the business, I'd be like, you give me the money and I'll pay for both of us. You know what I mean? Thank you.
Yeah, you kind of even. You meet. You meet in the middle.
in the middle,
You meet
literally
in the
and
middle.
figuratively, because it's just like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you both can do first, then that's a whole different
Yeah.
thing. That's fun. That's a good
Oh,
time.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally.
But no, come on.
Okay, that's
You
what
know?
I was thinking.
No, you're right.
Yeah, thank
You're always
you.
right.
Yeah, thank you. That's what women tell each other. They're like,
You are always
he's
right.
a jerk,
He's
and
a
you're
jerk.
right.
That is it. That is it. I'm sorry. We choose bear.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was such a dumb question.
Oh my god, I love it so much. Anyway,
Wait, so how is your relationship going long distance? Is it?
well, this is it's getting to the point now because it'll be 4 years in July that we've been together.
I know. And in your special, you were like, I'm single. I
Yeah,
have a
you know-
cat that sleeps next to
I know.
me. That was so cute.
On top of me, sometimes trying to kill me. But and it's fabulous. It's great. But we've gotten to the point now where, because at first the long distance is kind of cute.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
we
yeah. It's
FaceTime
like,
every
ooh.
day, and you're like,
Yeah,
At
yeah.
first we would FaceTime 2 hours a day, and now it's sometimes just like, hi, I'll talk to you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's not funny anymore. It's not cute
Right.
anymore. Now the long distance has really become. It's
It's
hard
tough.
now. Now it's just like, ugh. So I feel like we're gonna have to make decisions. Are gonna have to be made. So.
You thought about marriage yet, or not really? Not ready.
Neither one of us really are interested in marriage at all.
But it
But
would
we're
help
thinking, we're thinking
would
just
help.
paperwork. But then again, I'm telling you, people, you think the pandemic is done? It's not. It's reaching still. The pandemic. I have an immigration lawyer because I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
I have an immigration. She was just like, you won't even get a meeting for a year and a half. She's like, it is
my
so
God.
backed up because of the pandemic. I'm like, oh, okay. So like, even it's not happening tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like we
Wow.
can get it going, but it's not happening anytime soon. So
Oh, it's so
yeah.
hard
I know,
to
it
have such a
stinks.
long distance.
It stinks.
Do you
Yeah, it's
visit
not-
him a lot?
I
or-
have not, no,
No?
because he's always been coming here. Because why not?
Yeah.
And but you see, I will go. I'm gonna go. He lives in London, so I'm gonna go and make.
Oh, he's in London.
Yes,
I thought he
mean,
was in Canada.
no.
How did
Yes,
you
it-
meet him?
on Instagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a fan
he
of a
slide
comedian friend of mine, and then she one day suggested, "Hey, if you like me, you'll like Debra DiGiovanni." He started following me, and then when the pandemic started, he did the old DM slide and was like, "So the world might be ending, so I thought I would tell you. I think you're nice." And I was like, "Oh, hello."
Oh my
And
gosh.
then, I know.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it's very nice.
See,
It's
that's
cute.
what I think. I think sometimes like Instagram's better than a dating app because even that it just doesn't feel like a dating
People,
app.
let me tell you, I feel like I hear more and more that people are meeting on Instagram.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You follow someone and maybe you chat every once in a while.
Yeah, you like
and
each other's
yes,
posts
and then
and-
then
yeah.
you start chatting. So that was, I mean, I met him when I went, like our first meeting. I went to him the first time. I
Oh,
went to London the
really?
first time. Yeah,
Was
yeah,
it
yeah.
romantic?
It was so romantic.
Oh.
It was like just when we were able to fly again. So it was like,
Oh,
okay.
oh my
Like I had to
gosh.
quarantine and stuff still, but
Whoa.
it was like.
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
how
yeah.
long was the trip? How long did
Just a month, almost a month.
you were there a month?
Yeah.
Just a month
I
for
know.
the first
I know.
time?
But listen though, this is the story on this one.
Okay.
Before I went to go, honestly,
Yeah.
people, before I went to go meet him, he literally had a session with my therapist
Why?
because my therapist was like, "Let me talk to him." And I was like, "Yep." And then
Really?
I'm not kidding. And then my therapist was
Oh
like,
my God.
"Go meet him."
Really?
I literally got permission from because I'm been his client, patient, whatever you call it, for years and years and years. And so he was just like, and Filippo gladly spoke to him. And then he was like, "Yeah, go." And I was like, "Okay."
That's
so I literally got
incredible.
permission for my thumbs up from my therapist. I was like, "See ya." And then I went to go.
Oh my God, I wish I did that with several people.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
say this
flew
though.
to
Do
meet.
you know what I mean? But this is the thing. Like the one thing about the long distance, where I'm like,
Yeah.
at first it was cute because like we got to know each other like olden days. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like we FaceTime. That's all. It was only there was no in person There was nothing.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You're not making any stupid mistakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're
it's
getting to know
FaceTime,
each
right?
other.
We literally got to know each other. So we like FaceTimed every day for like 6 months before we ever saw each other in person.
What
So.
do you think that your therapist approved of in that conversation?
That's a good question. I don't know.
You never
know.
asked?
No,
you were
I'm
never
not
like, what did you ask?
No, he was just like, we're good. I mean, and he paid for it and everything.
I just picture him being like, what are your intentions with my
honorable
client?
intentions? You see, we brought it around. The name of my new album.
Honorable intentions. Go listen to it.
There you go.
Is it based on your relationship?
It's got a lot. That's it.
That he has honorable intentions?
Yeah, that's it. Yes. I think so. We'll find out.
Oh,
God,
that's
yeah.
so cute.
So there you go. Cute.
Well, it sounds like it's a good relationship if
It
it's
is.
lasted
Yeah.
this long,
I know,
long
unfortunate.
distance.
I know, and everyone was like, "Oh, yeah, it's super hard," and now it's like, "Oh yeah, now it's getting hard." But we'll figure it out, you know.
Okay.
Or we won't. Whatever.
I think you might.
I
I
hope
think you
so.
will.
I hope
What does he do? Is he in comedy?
No.
No, okay.
He's a graphic artist.
Oh, okay.
Artist.
Does he help you with stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah?
He did my album cover.
Oh my
Yeah, he
gosh.
did my album cover, and he'll do posters and stuff for me and cute things
my
like that. But he's such an artist, you know. He just is, and it's lovely. But also too, and it's nice as well because he can do that anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's not totally true. But like as a graphic artist, he's got like, I guess I want to say gigs. Is that the right? Contracts is what it would be.
Okay.
Right? Like everything is a gig. I'm
Contracts.
like, yeah. Contracts with companies and stuff. So he can really work anywhere, but just be for, like he's got a long one in Italy that he can do it here. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
he just
that's
has to
nice.
get up early to have phone calls. You know what I mean? Get up like have a business
It's good.
meeting
I
at
think
6 a.m.
it's really hard to have two performers in a relationship.
You see, it's so
Have
funny.
you dated a comedian
Never.
before?
No.
Never?
No.
Smart.
See, it's so funny because like there's part of me that goes, I think there'd be some nice aspects to it.
Yeah, like they
You understand
Yeah.
each other. You know what's going on. Like
Yeah.
they get the ups and downs.
Yeah.
But then I also feel like, and maybe this is just a Debra problem, but like I feel like jealousy would be a problem with me.
I think it can. I think it can work with men too
Yeah, for
because
sure.
they won't admit it really. You know,
And then they're
so
resentful and yeah. But I mean, like, look at all we do know a bunch of marriages that work out.
that
that are both
comedians. I know, that is
seriously.
true.
There's quite a few. Like you and I sitting here together could probably name at
Like
least
10?
I was gonna say at least 6 to 10
Yeah,
couples that are
That's
so
true. Where they do work.
It might be us, Erica.
It might, we might be the problem.
It might be us.
Damn it! I didn't want that to be.
I didn't want that to be. This is what I think, though. I think the goal would be to be someone in a creative field.
Yes.
Right.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone that still gets the working
Oh, yeah.
for themselves.
I
And
know.
putting their
My friends
art
are like,
and
you
work
need a
out there.
lawyer. I'm like, I'm never
No.
gonna be so bored. And then
You're
they're
bored. And also
then,
too, it's like they work at 8 o'clock in the morning. You're like,
no,
what?
you have
No.
opposite schedules, and then
schedules.
and I hate first dates with that kind of thing because they're like, what? I can't believe you're
I know.
like they
yeah,
do
yeah.
that like
it's too wow, and
awe-struck
you're like,
thing.
I don't want that. I
No.
don't want that at all.
No.
because then eventually it just becomes. I knew a comic years ago, an old man, but he said he had a really good joke about how everyone loves the comedian for the first 3 months.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then after he's like, and then the woman would be like, so you're not getting up then today? Are you? That's first 3 months. First 3 months, it's super cool, right? It's all cute and sexy, and then at some point you're like, did you leave the house today? That, right?
Well,
I mean,
people have even been
come
like,
on.
it's probably like two people being funny all the time. It's
Yeah.
like, no, it's the
It's
two
really not.
most serious, depressed people together.
Oh my God! Yes, the most depressed, insecure,
Yeah,
nuts.
they're so fun with
Yeah.
like the audience, and
Yeah.
then they go home and they're like,
Oh, I hate myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The good thing is though, he's very funny, which is
Oh, that's
I never
good.
thought that I wanted that.
Right.
Because my brain was like, no, I'll be funny. It's funny.
Yeah.
But he's not. He's super funny. He makes me laugh so much.
Aw.
But does not want to be on stage.
That's
so that
perfect.
is perfect.
Oh my God, that's
What
perfect.
you want right now.
You
know
want
what
a
I mean?
funny guy
Yes.
that doesn't need
guy that gets
the
it.
spotlight.
Yes, but doesn't need the spotlight.
Yeah, that
Absolutely
means
not.
he's funny but doesn't hate himself.
Yes.
Perfect.
Oh God, it's goals, really. It's life goals. But there are.
I don't want to keep you too long, but I want to try some. This is like the first time I'm trying this, but
Okay.
my best friend, I told her about this podcast, and she's like been my best friend since we were 12, and she just put together random questions.
Okay,
so
go.
I'm gonna just try. I'm gonna
Gimme.
start the Lucy question.
Love
And
it.
I'll just give you a random question.
Go.
Okay, this is gonna be this is the first one.
I like this.
Okay,
It's fun.
this is just her question. What are you running from?
Oh my God. That's
that
a
a
great
good
question.
question?
Definitely myself.
Yourself?
Yes. I am. I'll tell you, I'm nuts. I am. I'm a nuts person. I am. I got troubles deep down in my heart. I do.
Yeah.
I have tons of trauma, and from from, as according to my therapist, in utero. Whoa.
What, does that mean from birth?
from
birth?
from get go,
Oh, yeah.
right away. Like
Ancestral trauma. Too.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I just am. So I think
Yeah.
I operate on fear a lot. So I'm definitely running from myself. I think
Yeah.
you know what? Even the better question is I'm running from growing up is what I am.
I relate to that a lot.
Do you get that?
Oh,
Do
totally.
you know what I mean? It's like-
because when I'm home, I feel like I have to face my responsibilities.
And I don't want to.
And I do not.
I do not want to
do that.
And this the thing is, like, comedy is, we're so lucky. It's so joyful, and it is
it
a very
is.
young life.
Yes.
It's youthful. Do you know what I mean? It
Yes.
keeps people youthful, but at the same time, it's like, I'm a certain age. And I want to, there is a part of me that's like, I do want to be an adult. But like, I'm also
Yeah.
don't know how, and I'm scared of it, and all the things. All the
Yeah, I
things, you know what
totally
I mean?
relate. And
Yeah.
you said you have ADHD too. That's been a theme with
yeah.
me lately, because I've just been realizing how much I have that.
Same.
And I've been watching all these videos. Do you watch any of those
Yes,
videos?
and you're just like, oh God.
You're like,
it's
this
just-
is me.
It is exactly. And all this sort of like the light bulb moments that you're like,
Yeah, you're like,
my
oh,
God.
that's it.
Yeah,
Like I
this is-
felt
I'm not
like
just a
such
jerk.
a
It's
failure,
actually-
and
yeah,
it's just like it is hard for us.
Do you know?
to do
You know what
those
else
life
too?
things.
That you feel like it's like more prominent lately. This is what I heard as well. TikTok maybe, but it could be, who knows? Dr. TikTok, but it's because of the pandemic, when we isolated, you know
Right.
how ADHD people, neurodivergent people mask, so they pretend they're like, I'm fine, but your brain is like, I'm dying right now.
Right.
And you're so then we unmasked because we spent so much time by ourselves.
Yeah.
And now putting the mask back on is almost impossible.
Oh,
So now it's because
yeah.
I feel crazier than I ever have. I'm sorry. I just do. I
Really?
feel like it's just I just have a lot of ADHD.
Yeah.
I am up to my
A lot of it. I
eyeballs.
like it.
I am up to my eyes with ADHD. I'm serious. There's so much. But yes, running from myself, running from
That's a
growing
good
up,
answer, and I think
yeah.
it's very relatable.
I think
I
so.
think that is
I think
why
people get it.
I've joked that every time I have to clean my apartment, I just move. You know, because it's
so
like that
funny.
feeling of like, oh, like I look around and I'm like,
Like,
where do I
can't.
start?
I know. Where
don't
do I
know how to
start? Where do I
this.
end? I mean,
Yeah,
it's all.
I can't.
You know, the thing is what I realize it now. They're called doom piles. Do you know this? You do, because if you're ADHD, then you know it.
Well, no, I actually don't know the name though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where we just pile things up in a corner.
Yeah.
And you just go and you have all over your apartment. And
Oh, yeah.
sometimes you'll tidy the doom pile, and you'll make the doom pile.
But it's still there.
still there. And it's
I
like,
have
what?
that under my coffee table.
Oh my! so
All
do
my
I.
scary mail just
Everything
goes
is- oh
under my
God.
coffee table.
I have baskets. I put it in a basket.
Oh, that's
But it's about just
good.
filled up, and I just
But that's
hide the doom pile.
That's growth to put it in a basket.
It's hey there, look at that. Look
You
at
know?
me. Yeah. How many baskets do I have though? You have no idea. Just it's so many baskets. Doom piles. That's
You've
what they're
learned though. You've
Yeah.
learned to put it somewhere.
called. Hide it.
At least it's in a pile.
Yeah, what-
Mine's
yeah,
like
yes,
just
it-
spread out under my coffee
Oh,
table.
God. And what about this? This is a one for me too. Like
Yeah.
where today meeting you at 2:00.
Oh yeah.
Could you do anything this morning?
Wait, no, I don't think okay, I went for a little jog.
I went for a little walk. That's all I did. I
Yeah,
swear
but
to God.
I did have therapy, so I
Okay,
had to
fair
do
enough.
therapy.
Okay, that's-
because that was like, you know,
Yes, 'cause they'll
time and
charge
place.
you if you don't
But
do
I
it.
found it hard to wake up, and then I was like, I've got to do some exercise. So I kind of went for like a baby jog, and then I had
I was
therapy.
like, I'm sorry, I have something at 2:00. I'm unable to do anything until 2:00. And I forced myself out of that something. You were gonna walk around the block. I walked around the
That's
block.
what
and was
I
like,
did.
Okay, that's enough. I'm fine.
That's what I mean
What
by
time is it?
jog.
Oh
I
God,
kinda
it's
went like- I
10:45.
went like
Like, it's like, okay, so do I have enough time to go for a walk? Or I don't. I don't have. It was 9:30. I was like, I don't have enough time to go for a walk. I go for a walk around the block. Get back in the house at 10:05. I'm like,
Oh, my God.
Okay, I'll just sit here now. Oh God. It's It's ridiculous, but
I'm
it's a thing.
I'm so glad you made it, though.
I
You're
know.
so much fun to talk to.
This was fun.
Thank
It's
you
always
for
nice to
coming
see
on.
you.
I know it's so good to see you.
Oh, yes.
Every time I see you, it puts
We
me
have
at
fun.
Yeah, we have a good time.
That's nice.
Don't you have a sister? Do you have a sister named Erica?
I do have a sister named Erica.
That's what I thought.
Yes,
Is it with
yes.
a K though?
No, she's C.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Uh-oh.
We're good now.
You're
Remember, I
good
had some
though.
jokes with her, but
oh yeah,
no, she's
okay.
But
you're okay.
she's excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, she's good stuff. She is.
I was like, I bring up a triggering thing at the
you
very
bring up
end.
good stuff. It's good.
All right. Do you have? Okay. Say the name of your
Yeah, so
album
Honorable
again.
Intentions.
Honorable
It'll be out in the fall,
Intentions.
like September.
Honorable Intentions. Go listen, and then go to your website. What is your website?
I say find me on Instagram, Debra DG, DEBRADG. That's the best way.
Okay.
That can lead you on the link tree to everything else.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you, Erica.
Deborah. You're the best.